The Colt M4 carbine, also known as the carbine caliber 5.56mm M4, or in this case the M4A1, is a 4-star AR that's only available from clearing stage 2-6 for the first time, giving the player M4A1 at level 20 and at 2 dummy links. She was also available as a drop from the hidden mission E2 Survivor during the Singularity event only for the CN, TW, and KR servers. Following the M16's adoption by the US military, carbine, not carbine, variants were made for CQC operations, the first of which being the CAR-15 used in the Vietnam War. The CAR-15 had a 10-inch barrel, half that of the M16, which reduced its range and accuracy, as well as increasing muzzle flash and blast, requiring large flash suppressors to be fitted to mediate the issues. By 1982, the US government asked Colt to make a carbine variant of the M16A2. Later that year, the Armament Munitions Chemical Command assisted Colt in developing a variant of the XM177E2, with the US Army later redesignating it to the XM4 carbine. The carbine used the same upper and lower receiver as the M16A1 and fires the M855 and M193 cartridges. By 1983, the 9th Infantry Division requested a 5.56mm carbine to replace the M1 and M3 in service. In June of that same year, the Armament R&D Center updated the furniture and barrel length, as well as recommending further commonality to the M16A2. By 1984, the US Army formally approved the development of the new carbine. June of 1985 had the Picatinny Arsenal contracted to produce 40 prototypes of the XM4 as a joint project between the Army and the Marines, with the Army withdrawing their funding in 1986. The prototypes were finished in 1987, with the Marines adopting 892 for the fiscal year. After their experience in 1991's Gulf War, the US Army had Colt produce its first M4s in May and July of 1993, and M4 carbines for US SOCOM in February of 1994. After the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993, the US Army Rangers complained of the unwieldiness of the M16, where Delta Force had no such complaints with their CAR-15s. The M4's first major use was in the UN peacekeeping mission led by NATO in Kosovo in 1999. Its usage continued on during the War on Terror and the Iraq War, with the US Army replacing their M16A2s with M4s by 2005. The M4 also replaced SMGs and handguns in military service for the most part. 2007 marked the USMC ordering its officers up to lieutenant colonel and staff NCOs to carry the M4 instead of the M9 Beretta. By July of 2015, Marine commands were endorsing switching to the M4 instead of the M16A4, citing the lighter weight, compactness, and usage in CQC combat. Were a squad required to engage at longer ranges, the M27 IAR would be used as a DMR. Commandant Robert Neller formally approved of the M4 by October of 2015. The M4 eventually was upgraded to the M4A1, which was later replaced by the SIG MCX Spear, now known as the SIG XM7. Focusing on the differences that the M4 has, as the M4 SOPMOD 2 will be covered next week, the M4A1 is a full auto variant of the basic M4 with intended use by Spec Ops. The A1 was introduced in May of 1991 and was in service fully by 1994. The A1 was the first model of M4 to have a removable carry handle and had a safe semi-auto full-auto trigger group as opposed to the safe semi-auto 3-round burst on the standard M4. Some of the Spec Op units that use the M4A1 are 4CON, Rangers, Green Berets, SEALs, Pararescue, and Air Force CCT. The US Army began converting M4s to M4A1s in 2011, as the war in Afghanistan showed the need for automatic suppression, fire, and movement for standard infantrymen. Upgrades included a heavier barrel, the full auto trigger group, ambidextrous selector, backup iron sight, forward pistol grip, and sling. The M4A1 is a gas-operated, closed-rotating bolt stoner-expanding gas carbine, which fires the 5.56 by 45mm NATO cartridge from a 30-round detachable box or STANAG magazine, though it can also take 10, 20, 50, or 100-round magazines at a rate of fire from 700 to 950 rounds a minute out to a range of 500 meters. In her character art, drawn by Lowlight, the same one who made Arknights, M4 wears a dark brown sleeveless sweater, bandana with the lower half of a skull on it, white headphones on her head, a green armband on her upper arm with the AR Team and G&K logo on it, some armor underneath that, a radio on her left shoulder, a tied white coat around her waist with green accents, the G&K logo, AR Team logo, and M4 IOP on it, a black glove on her left hand, black short shorts, and black thigh highs. Her right hand and legs from the knee down are mechanical. She holds her M4A1 with her right hand on the forward grip and left hand on the main grip, with her finger off the trigger. The M4A1 is currently in semi-auto, has a 20-round magazine, forward grip, holographic sight, and suppressor, which is ironic because she can't have a holo sight and a suppressor equipped at the same time. In her voice lines, voiced by Tomatsu Haruka, who also voices Lala Satin Devoluke in To Love Ru, Kinoho Wanai in Scientific Railgun, Angelica and Yuka Hanazawa in Beelzebub, Mitsuki Mashiba in Working, Asuna Yuki in SAO, Kaori Orimoto in Origaru, Ryo Kamichika in Durarara, Ginko Sakata in Gintama, Anna Churu in Danmachi, Pina Colada in Gate, Kuroko in Psyche K, 02 in Darling in the Franxx, Swordmaster in Goblin Slayer, Mina in Pokemon, Iris Canary in Violet Evergarden, Haru Okamura in Persona 5, Kyoko Hori in Horimiya, Fortuna in ReZero, Tsundere Elf in Uncle from Another World, Minamoto no Yorimitsu in FGO, Sail Leech in Arknights, Mary in Nikkei, and she also does WA2000 in Lee Enfield in Girls Frontline. Base M4 is quite timid, but she changes when she gets modded.
指揮官、よろしくお願いします。M16 姉さん、ようやくお役に立てますね。再編成完了。出撃できますか？これで少しでも姉さんに近づけたかな。勝ちました。指揮官、あなたのために戦えるなんて光栄です。私が言っている意味、わかりますか？これからずっとおそばにいさせてくださいね。了解。次は気をつけます。指揮官、製造完了。
指揮官、あとはお願いします。おはようございます。用事がなかったら仕事に戻ります。覚醒した私でもダメだったのか。了解。行かせていただきます。指揮官、長い間ずっとそばにいてくれてありがとうございました。あのまま落ち込んでいたら私は多分何もできずにいた。あなたの言葉が私に立ち直る力をくれた。これからはちゃんと自分と向き合えます。ご安心ください。どうして私はまだ。でももう時間がない。わかりました。何が知りたいですか？そんなに暇でしたら他を当たってくれますか？まだ訓練が残ってるので。指揮官、作戦に関する提案聞いてくれます？たまには私を頼ってもいいですよ。復讐のチャンス。哀れむ心なんてもう捨てました。復讐だ。
Like some ARs, M4's main role is buffing her own damage for a short time. Her tiles affect ARs, buffing their damage by 18% and crit rate by 30%. She's best positioned on tiles 4 or 5, but can be put on tiles 1, 2, 7, and 8 if you don't mind losing those amazing tiles. At level 10, M4's first skill, Damage Focus T, increases M4's own damage by 70% for 10 seconds. This has a 4-second ICD and 16-second NCD. With no equipment or crits, she does 78 damage. With crits and no equipment, she does 117. When fully linked, enhanced, and at level 100, base M4 has 110 HP per link for a total of 550. Consumes 60 ammo and rations, deals 46 damage, has 48 evasion, 48 accuracy, 79 rate of fire, 10 move speed, a 20% crit rate, and deals 150% damage on a crit. Base M4 is able to equip telescopic sights, hollow sights, red dot sights, night vision, suppressors, high velocity ammo, chips, and exoskeletons. The recommended equipment for base M4 is a 5-star scope, 5-star HV ammo, and 5-star light exoskeleton. This gives her plus 20 damage, plus 20 evasion, and plus 48% crit rate. This brings her stats to 66 damage, 68 evasion, and 68% crit rate. Her skill now does 112 base damage and 168 damage with crits. A lot of 68s. To fully mod M4, she will need 3,200 memfrags and 120 dummy cores, as well as needing to be level 100 for mod 1, 110 for mod 2, and 115 for mod 3. This requires roughly 17.5 days, or 2 weeks and 3.5 days, of grinding the advanced sim for memfrags. Her rarity goes to 5 stars when modded. In her mod art drawn by Zagala, M4 wears a sleeveless olive drab sweater, a slightly different skull bandana around her neck, olive drab sleeves, black short shorts with many belts and straps, a green cloak around her waist with IOP on the corners, mismatched socks, and multiple pouches around her waist. Her forearms are either fully mechanical from the elbow down or are armored. Her legs are similar, either fully mechanical or armored. She has 2 magazines on her left and right, as well as a Defy Team logo near the ones on the right side, and she has different headphones. She has that case that M16A1 had in her art, the inherited weapon arsenal, slung around her, and her M4A1 has gotten an upgrade. It now has a raised red dot sight, smaller suppressor, aiming laser, forward grip with tack light, and the rifle is now black instead of white. When fully modded, M4's tiles now buff other AR's damage by 20% and crit rate by 32%. She now has 113 HP per link for a total of 565, deals 50 damage, has 50 evasion, 50 accuracy, and 80 rate of fire. Her first skill now increases M4's damage by 75% for 10 seconds. Her first skill now does 88 damage without crits or equips, and 131 with crits. M4's second skill, Seal of the Avenger, when Damage Focus T is active, apply Seal of the Avenger to the current target. In addition, once 3 or less allies are on the field, M4's rate of fire is reduced by 70%, down to either 56 or 24, and regular attacks deal 600% damage, 525 damage with no crits or equips, 788 with crits, with an additional 100% splash damage to targets in a 2.5 unit radius. Splash damage also applies Seal of the Avenger. The spec that M4 gains from reaching mod 3 is the aforementioned inherited weapon arsenal, which, when at max calibration and enhancement, gives plus 20 damage, plus 20 rate of fire, and plus 15 armor. The recommended equipment for modded M4 is a 5-star scope, 5-star HV rounds, and the inherited weapon arsenal. This gives her plus 40 damage, plus 20 rate of fire, plus 48% crit rate, and plus 15 armor. This brings her stats to 90 damage, 100 rate of fire, 68% crit rate, and 30 armor. Her S1 now does 158 base damage and 236 with crits. Her S2 reduces her rate of fire to 70 or 30, with her regular attacks dealing 945 damage without crits and 1,418 with crits, as well as dealing 158 splash damage. It's surprising, yet at the same time not surprising, to see a T-Doll get a great base and modded form. Not surprising since M4A1 is the heroine of the story. But she goes from great to amazing with her mod. Her base form has decent stats and is great with AR SMG, or if you're feeling lucky enough, a full AR team. She's easily obtained earlier on in the story with some levels and dummy links. Her tiles buff other ARs, giving them actually good buffs, damage and crit rate, with these tiles having a great spread, being able to cover over 50% of the grid, with only, to my knowledge, HGs beating her for tile spread. Her skill also buffs her own damage, lasts a decent amount of time, and has a relatively quick proc time. Her mod is where things get crazy. That case that M16A1 had, that M4A1 now has, is a portable particle accelerator cannon made by Persica. Her stats, tiles, and S1 get buffed to make them even better. Her spec from getting to mod 3 gives amazing bonuses, and there's the cherry on top, that being her S2. Her S2 basically turns her into the baby of an RF and a Hawk, or as the community likes to joke, a Metal Gear, dealing massive amounts of damage, which is further amplified by her S1 being active, which also has splash damage, all while applying Seal of the Avenger on her targets and those hit by splash damage. But someone this good does have some downsides, albeit they're minor and a bit nitpicky. The first, and it's kind of a joke, being that M4 is only available once, not counting the dupe stage and Singularity. When Seal of the Avenger is active, to get that massive amount of damage, if you have a team of 5 or 4 T-Dolls, you'll need to retreat 2 or 1 of them respectively for it to even activate. Most likely leaving M4 and 2 other ARs to fight the enemies and are open to attack, so it's kind of a gambit. Her rate of fire is massively slowed when using her S2 as well, which makes sense since you want it to be high damage, but slow firing, otherwise it would just be broken. Regardless, M4A1 should 100% be the first T-Doll you mod, and you must get her to mod 3. If you don't, you're honestly a fool. And this is coming from someone who doesn't care about AR team. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter for updates, I also stream, and please check out my other Arknights and Azure Lane videos as well.